What's really good, my people? Welcome into No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Little. Big Nick the Quick with me, as always. The NBA, the biggest, best soap opera ever created. The National Basketball Association tips off today. We got some good matchups, too. A couple guys might be out. We'll talk about that as well. But
we know what that means.
We got the Lakers are in Denver to take on the champs. It's banner night. You know, Jokic back. He's done racing his horses for at least a little bit. He's back. They're playing the Lakers. A lot to dig into there. I did a pod yesterday with Action Network talking about the back and forth and the commotion and the legitimacy of the banter between the Lakers and the disrespect that they feel like they're getting from the Nuggets. And then, of course, we have the Suns playing the Golden State Warriors, the new look Golden State Warriors. Draymond is out. That's official. Beal may be out. They're saying Booker is going to be
Beal's out. He's out.
Beal's out, confirmed. And then now they're saying Booker with a toe may or may not go. We'll get into it. NFL Week 9. Who's real? We just saw the San Francisco 49ers go down at home or in Minnesota to the Vikings. Kirk Cousins looked polished. The money man looked good in prime time. Shut some haters down. No Catch-Up Sports Talk via Chicago. All NBA, all NFL. Where are we at with them all? Let's get to it.
Now look at Mossy. Really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
Big Nick the Quick, what's happening?
How we feeling? It's like Christmas.
Day.
Christmas morning. Just woke up. Can't wait to open up the presents.
Man.
Ready to go, man. We're in full swing.
Windhorst was on first take today. It's
Legler and the boys was out. It's time. Let's do it, man.
My first time seeing Legs. Still to this day, one of the best in the business at breaking shit down. He is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Shout out Tim Legler. So yeah, NBA is back. I'm excited.
Legs, just gives it to you straight. Love it.
Big Nick the Quick was talking about adding the third TV in the basement, but the missus, but the missus might not.
There's no more space.
No more space. I feel you, bro. Because
I'd have to mount all three, and it would get ugly. But yeah.
Yeah, because my setup right now, man, is pretty nasty. Because I'm in New York. My spot's not very big. I'm working with, 600 square feet?
Yeah.
Something like that. I got a one bed, but it's pretty small. I have one big TV. I got like a 55-inch, 60-inch. I don't know what it is. But then I rock that, and then I'll rock the computer on the desk, like on my coffee table. And then if I really get with it, I'll bring out the iPad, and I'll put that up. So I'll have 3 screens, but it could be better. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. But I got the 2 big screens in the basement, then I also got the iPad Pro if it's really getting crazy. But now with the multi-view, you can essentially put on 8 games at once, which there was a conversation in the group chat the other night. It's not easy to really do that. So my preference is one main game on my main screen that has the sound. And then I'll have the 4 little quad box on the other side. So we'll see. Tomorrow will be the real test with the NBA, with the complete slate of NBA action of how it's going to work with the multi-view and all that. But now they got the mixed sport multi-view. So I don't know if you saw, but you had the baseball and the NFL on the multi-view the other night. Yeah, so hopefully they mix that up with some NBA and NFL with Thursday. But it's on Prime anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
You know what my favorite thing is about the multi-view, actually? Because honestly – especially if I'm sweating some action somewhere, that's always on the main.
For sure.
Typically, like for example, I had quite a bit of money on the Ravens -3 this week. Shout out Lamar Jackson. He cashed that for me.
I call that smooth.
And I had that on the main, and then I had the Bears on the secondary. So I couldn't really watch anything else. I got to go back and rewatch. But the afternoon slate in the NFL with the multi-view, there's usually only 4 games on.
Yeah, you're good.
So I could watch all 4 at the same time, and that's the only action that's going on. So I do enjoy the late afternoon slate. And then, of course, we talked about Sunday night. That's the prime time of all prime time. Me and Nick, if you missed the Bears recap, me and Nick are Sunday Night Football guys.
Absolutely.
Sunday Night Football greater than Monday Night Football.
Absolutely. Locked in fully.
Yeah,
even watching last night, it was like, I mean, it was a decent game or whatever, and I watched it, but didn't have that same feel. I was thinking about what we talked about as I was watching. You're just distracted on Monday night, I feel like, too. Yeah. Other shit's going on, work emails coming in, like
100%.
It's a different situation.
Yo, and I'll be honest with you, I'm fighting falling asleep last night on Monday night.
Oh yeah, you got the extra hour. I know it's rough for you.
You
got the extra hour. That's
coming
tough.
off the full weekend of kicking it, watching games, doing whatever, and then Monday I got to get back to work. For example, I went and shot my show yesterday. I did a pod. I was back in the mix. Then I get back to the crib. I eat. I sit down to watch the game, and this shit is it's midnight, bro.
Yeah, it's over with.
It's like I'm fighting for dear life. I had to rewatch the fourth this morning to go see Purdy's back-to-back picks on drive.
Well, you talked about it last year. The Lakers, the Nuggets, teams like that are a morning team for you. You wake up in the morning and rewatch the West Coast. Like, there's no chance you're sitting up till 2 in the morning watching the Lakers.
So for those who don't know what Nick is talking about, this is the best play for East Coast folks that are watching the NBA. First wave of game goes off. When the Celtics turn off, Knicks are gone, done. Yeah, go ahead, get in bed, and record the games. Don't check your phone. Wake up, get a cup of coffee, and watch the late games in the morning. It's the best thing in the world. You get like a double dip of the NBA, and you're still in the loop. You don't get to comment live, but you still get to wake up in the morning and go through and comment and send out whatever tweets or do whatever breakdowns or videos you want to do. So, yeah, man, I think that's the play. That's what I really enjoy. I'll speak for myself. I'm fortunate enough where I'm flexible in the morning. I don't have to be into work. So I get to do that. And that's the best way to go about it.
I might look into that a little bit this year because it's getting tough for these late games. This 9:30 tip, which would be a 10:30 tip for you, it just sounds like
bro,
it's very tough, very tough sell. I'd rather watch in the morning, like you said, with a cup of coffee and not worry about too much. I'm kind of the same way. I work remote. I'm working at home, so I can work and have the game on. And
nasty stuff trying to watch the Lakers Nuggets at literally 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
I'm straight. But let's get into it. Couple of games tonight. Season starts. We know who's playing tonight. We went over it in the intro. But we're going to use this episode to just talk about where we're at, storylines, fun, where we're at on some teams coming in. Big Nick the Quick, let's touch on the Lakers and their situation. Let's start there just because why not? You know what I'm saying? LeBron is in year 21. Right now, his season-long prop for points per game is 27.2. I already gave out the under. I think that's far too high. I think there's going to be a lot of nights where Austin Reeves is the number 2 option on offense behind Anthony Davis, and LeBron James is going to backfill and distribute. He's been looking for that. If we're being honest, he's been looking for a guy to do this for a while now, and he just can't get anybody to do it. So he eventually just backfills and's like, all right, fuck it. I guess I got to score 30 every night, so I'll score 30. We know that's how good LeBron James is. That's why he went out and got Russell Westbrook. It didn't work out that way. Now he has Austin Reeves, who is an absolute dog. From the second half of the year into the playoffs, into the summer with what he did with USA Basketball, Austin Reeves is that guy, especially in the pick and roll. So how do you feel about the Lakers? Where are you at? They add Gabe Vincent. They add Christian Wood. They've been bottom 3 in offense. Not bottom 3, bottom 20 in offense the last 3 years with LeBron running the show for the Lakers. They go and get some offense with the guys I just mentioned. Rui Hachimura is now in his second year. We know about all the guys, right?
Yeah.
D'Lo is back. He's now under the full season.
That
if you think that's an impact or not, but how do you feel about overall? How do you talk to me? Because AD's saying he wants to play 82.
Yeah, he can say that all he wants.
Yeah, how you feel about
AD, first off, AD can say that all he wants. The proof is in the pudding, and that just usually doesn't happen. But I'm hoping that he does. Look, man, I really like this Lakers teams. All the issues that we had with them going into last year, even the last couple of years, from a roster construction standpoint, I think Pelinka did a great job. I love Rui coming into this year. I like D'Lo in that spot. Again, when we talk about trying to take off some of that offensive load from LeBron, you need guys who can score points. And there's one thing that he can do, it's score. Now, when it comes down to decision-making down the stretch, you don't want the ball in his hands. But guess what? You have LeBron, right? Some of the issues that you saw with Russell in Minnesota and in Brooklyn was that when the ball is in his hand down the stretch, he makes a lot of dumb plays. When you have LeBron James, you can bench D'Lo in the fourth. And LeBron is the one making those decisions, right? So I like that move because he is going to be able to score. He is a good shooter. Shot 41% from three with the Lakers, averaged 17 points and 6 assists after the trade. So he did what he does. And again, I'm not the biggest D'Angelo Russell guy. And I don't want to make it sound that way. But in the context of this Lakers team, I don't have a problem with it. If you do get a healthy AD, which is a huge if, we saw him after LeBron broke the record carry this Lakers team down the stretch, right? LeBron took a few weeks off, as predicted. And AD was healthy.
He was hurt, Nick. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he was hurt. Yeah, of course.
He was injured.
He was fucking going to Drake concerts and
he got injured right
on the sideline.
He got injured right after he broke the record. He got
injured. A great party. Yeah, of course. Again, I'll still say the best bet I ever made. I was in Vegas, and after he broke the record, I bet the Lakers would lose that game because I just knew that there was no way. Once he broke that, he was done for the night. The Lakers were done for the night. And that was easy money. But yeah, outside of that, man, I like this team. I think they have depth. I think they have guys that can do a lot of different things that will help and support LeBron. You talked about the Reeves, assuming that he takes a big step up. This is year 3 for Reeves, right? So assuming that he takes a big step up and continues to show some of the things that he showed in the playoffs last year, yeah, I feel really good about this team.
Just because they're well-rounded, and it's it's just LeBron's going to be LeBron, and AD, if AD, it's kind of the same linchpin of if AD plays, we feel good about the Lakers.
They're better guys than you had in these spots last year. I think last year you had some guys in these spots that we didn't really trust, whether it be Westbrook, whether it be trying to revive the likes of trying to think who were some of the guys that they went to the season with last year. Just guys you couldn't trust, whereas I trust these guys a lot more. We saw Rui play well. Again, we saw D'Angelo Russell play well in his role. And assuming that LeBron's going to come in motivated, I think the scoring record thing is off his mind. I think they're going to be able to rest him a little bit differently. I don't think you're going to see LeBron playing 36 minutes a night and taking 27 shots a game like he was last year. So I think they have the guys that can kind of help facilitate that.
Last year on ring night against the Golden State Warriors, the starting 5 for the Lakers, you want to take a guess before I give it to you? So, of course, we have LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and then one guy played for the Bulls for a bit last year. So then we got Pat Bev, Lonnie Walker the 4th.
Oh, yeah, Lonnie Walker the 4th and Pat Bev, yeah.
And then the person that got the 6th most minutes on that team was Kendrick Nunn.
Yeah, who's out the league right now, correct?
Yes, I believe so. Austin Reeves only played 16 minutes in that game. So yeah, it's a.
So when you talk about that's a roster upgrade, right? Like those are the guys that you were relying on last year going into the season. Whereas now you replace them with the guys that we talked about. I think it's a big time roster upgrade for them. I do like it. I like what Darvin Ham did with them as a team last year. I think they've also upgraded the coaching spot. So yeah, I like the Lakers this year.
Shout out Jordan Poole last year, opening night on ring night, 4 of 15.
Of course,
he had the second most shots on the team after Steph Curry. So that's always fun. We'll see how that shakes.
Kendrick Nunn is out the league, confirmed.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Lakers. Interesting. It's dude. This is the same conversation we have every single year. If Anthony Davis is healthy and plays and wants to play, I think there's also this. We need to get this clear. Anthony Davis needs to be healthy to play, and he has to want to try to impact.
For sure.
There's games where you see Anthony Davis is like, I don't really feel like doing shit tonight.
Has the skill set to dominate every game he's in on both ends of the floor.
Yeah. So I agree. LeBron hasn't shown that he's going to slow up whatsoever. This is that Tom Brady element where it's like he's going to have to show me on the floor that he's going to slow up. I took the under 27.2 points per game as a season-long prop because that number is just inflated.
Sure.
I was doing the research on that. Last year, LeBron James with the Lakers averaged the second highest points per game he has in his entire career. going all the way back to Cleveland when he was a young buck. It has to slow down, especially if they're going to be a competitive team in an absolute loaded West. Let's see what the Lakers do tonight.
I think you don't want LeBron scoring 27 a game if you're this Lakers team. And I think also I forgot to mention the addition of Gabe Vincent. I think
Gabe Vincent, Christian Wood. Those are guys. Those are pure offensive ads, but they're pure offensive ads for a team that has struggled on the offensive side of the rock.
Yeah, and I guess Christian Wood is kind of in your D'Angelo Russell type conversation of guys who can fill it up as long as you're not relying on them in big spots. But I really like Gabe Vincent. We loved him last year in Miami. That was a really solid signing for them. Again, we bring in another professional, a guy who's coming from the Miami Heat, a guy who knows how to win, a guy who knows his role too. Like, I think it really falls in line very nice with LeBron. And I think as long as he's healthy and AD is healthy, this Lakers team to me is probably the second best team in the West, in my opinion.
Let's stay in the West and talk about the champs. The Denver Nuggets were absolutely sensational last year, especially in the playoffs. Jokic easily probably should have won his third straight MVP. He's going to be the favorite coming in this year to win MVP 3 and 4 seasons. Are you worried about Jokic's motivation at all? Or is that
I think that's all. It's kind of bullshit. Like, I'm kind of over
playing to that, right?
Yeah, he's really playing to it. Like, listen, man, you're not that good at basketball if you don't care. It's not possible, right? Like, he might not be a junkie who lives, breathes, eats, and sleeps basketball, but you don't have that level of mental understanding for the game. You don't put up those types of numbers. You don't get that locked in. You don't have that type of chemistry with your teammates unless basketball is a priority too. So I think a lot of it's being played up because he's not like, live, breathe, sleep, eat in the gym of basketball. But trust me, Jokic is in there putting in the work. He's not just coasting through the last however many years. And he just won a championship last year, right? If Jokic was some dude who didn't give a shit, we would have heard that in the last few years. Like, well, maybe that's why the Nuggets aren't good. This is a team that just broke through. So those stories would have been out there. I think he's playing it up, the whole checking on my horses and all that. Trust me, he cares. He's locked in. I know I'd even said last year, like, if they win a championship, Jokic is going to show back up and not care. But let's be real here. You don't have that level of basketball success if basketball doesn't matter to you.
Yeah, I think he just goes about his business in a different way. That's all that is. I was at the Garden last time the Nuggets played the Knicks. This is late in the season, and there was a good 15 to 20 minute stretch where Jokic literally sat on the bench with his legs crossed and just kind of sat there and watched. Didn't really do too much. He went out there. They beat the Knicks by a dozen. He played extremely well. He just goes about his business in a different way. Now, they are missing now Bruce Brown, who was the linchpin for those guys off the bench. Huge. I'm interested to see how this rotation looks. I'm interested to see a lot of things here for the Denver Nuggets because overall, if you look at their roster, it's a lot of the same guys, but they're missing the big dude off the bench. We know, of course, KCP, Christian Brown, maybe he'll step up and kind of be that guy. But Reggie Jackson's now going to get some minutes. People are worried about that. Julian Strawther has been really good out of Gonzaga, rookie for them in the preseason. But, the preseason is the preseason. Any worry that that bench is a little too thin to keep up? Also, because if you go back and look at the numbers, Jokic on and off the court, dude, it's night and day. They are really bad when Jokic is not on the court.
Yeah.
When he's on, they're on a different level because he's the best player on the planet right now. But you worried about them being a little too thin on the bench, relying on Brown, who's a second-year guy, Reggie Jackson. We know how Reggie gets down.
Story of Reggie.
The backup center is still DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah.
Who
didn't really play last year.
There's no real backup big, right?
Yeah, so, I think that a couple things stick out. Yeah, number one, I think the Bruce Brown loss is massive because you are really relying on Christian Brown now to step up and fill those shoes as the two-way player that Bruce Brown was. And obviously we saw it's Christian Brown, correct? I want to make sure
it's Brown. It's Brown like B-R-O-W-N, but it's spelled Braun.
So, yeah. So we saw Christian Brown step up in the playoffs and throughout the regular season for them and be a good player, but you really are relying on him to step up and fill out those that two-way, I guess, effort that Bruce Brown brought for you. With that being said, you do have Jamal Murray coming into the season healthy, which wasn't the case last year, right? He was still working his way back from injury last year. He had been out for 2 years. Now you have him where if you look at the second half of the season and into the playoffs, Jamal Murray looked like absolutely one of the best perimeter players in the NBA. So you're hoping that he's fully healthy coming into this year and that he's going to pick up some of that slack from the Bruce Brown departure, and that might not be as important as a spot as it was last year. But with that being said, yeah, anytime you lose quality bench guys, we see it in the playoffs. While this team might be more top heavy than any team in the NBA, these guys end up mattering in the playoffs for a different number of reasons. So you just hope these other guys can step up, but you also hope that when you have a guy like Jokic who seems to make everybody better, that you don't necessarily miss these guys as much. And that's just kind of being a title contender, right? You win, you have a lot of success, you end up losing guys like that in free agency, and it's up to you to kind of fill it in. So you hope that you've drafted the right guys, like you said, get out of Gonzaga, and that guys like Brown step up. And that, again, I think that Murray spot is probably not being talked about enough because he was coming off of that major injury coming into last year, and that's just not the case.
Yeah.
It's a lot to be said when you're coming into a season completely healthy and confident and not looking to test shit out.
Jamal Murray's probably still severely underrated in a lot of aspects of his game. Big-time player.
Yeah.
A lot of big-time buckets now. You can go back and look at the Rolodex. The highlights are there. It's he's been the real deal for a while.
The highlights are there. The Instagram stories are there. It's all there.
I knew you were gonna bring that up. Don't you still follow Shorty on IG?
Sure.
Shout out Jamal Murray, man. He's been doing his thing, man. So we'll see how the Nuggets come out because those Bruce Brown minutes are gonna be a big hole to fill. Let's talk about another West Coast dollar before we get to the East. Let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves, man. We've been big Ant-Man Anthony Edwards guys.
Yeah.
My big thing, Nick, coming into the year, I've said it, they're 40-1 to win the West. That number is way too large. They're going to be, towards the end of the season, they were top 10 offense and defense. Connolly was playing really well. The Frenchman.
Sean has made Mike Conley an Irishman for the past 8 years of doing this podcast. He's never been Mike Conley. He has been Mike Conley.
Conley.
He's good old Mike Conley.
Mike Conley. Yeah. Okay. Mike Conley. Conley. The Ohio State lefty. Mike MC. I say, man, I've been having. I was doing some real quick. I was doing some promo reads for FanDuel, and they made me stop down multiple times because they said I was separating fan and duel. I was saying FanDuel instead of FanDuel. I was like in the reads. I was saying FanDuel.
It's FanDuel,
and it's FanDuel.
Yeah, FanDuel.
I was like having to read, so I don't know, man. Maybe my pronunciation, need some work in some spots,
man. You got to get one of those speech coaches. Yeah,
got to get my speech coach. But yeah. Mike Conley has Rudy Gobert playing well to close the year last year. Yeah. Once all the dust settled and everyone had just accepted that maybe they got smoked on the deal, maybe they gave up too much. Maybe they gave up too much to get Gobert. Once kind of all that went by the wayside, they started to mesh a little bit down the stretch. Sure. And shout out my guy Matt Moore of the Action Network. He talked about this. He's an insider out in Denver. He lives in Denver, covers the Nuggets very closely. He has repeatedly mentioned that if you ask the Denver Nuggets who was the hardest out in the playoffs, including the finals, they would say the Minnesota Timberwolves. Sure. They had a bit of trouble with the Minnesota Timberwolves and knocking those guys out of the playoffs. Now, you look at the roster, Karl Anthony Towns is back. Like him or not, they got a lot of they don't have a lot of likable dudes over there.
They really do.
If you take Anthony Edwards off that roster,
very unlikable guy.
Very unlikable
squad. I don't want any part of Karl Anthony Towns. Rudy Gobert started COVID.
Yeah,
there's just a lot of guys. Towns just needs to stop giving interviews is the problem. Like we've highlighted it before, but it actually is Like some of the things that he says, it's actually crazy. Like the whole like what we accomplished was more impressive than the Nuggets, or like all did you hear that when he said that? Oh yeah, he said that what they accomplished as far as winning the play-in last season, not this past season, the season before. You remember that?
Oh, I did. I do remember that.
That's still one of the greatest memes ever. He said that was more impressive, just everything, considering everything that they went through. Like he just says crazy shit.
Yeah, he just says a lot of wild ass shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be around that guy ever.
So Karl-Anthony Towns is back. He only played 29 games last year. Don't forget that. And if like him or not, he's still one of their best players. Now, the biggest thing for me is Cat is going to have to let Ant-Man be the number one. I'm not sure if he knows that yet, but he will learn that this is Anthony Edwards' team, and he's the second fiddle, and he's going to have to step back purely on the fact that I don't think he's going to have a choice. I think Ant-Man's going to be scratching 30 points a game.
Absolutely.
Come this calendar. He is going to be going ballistic. So they signed Jaden McDaniels as well. Maybe he got overpaid, maybe not. What do you think about that deal?
How much did they give him?
Dude, he got paid. Let me get the
Wasn't he? Number. No, he was already there. Remember, he punched. Didn't he punch? He broke his hand going into the playoffs.
No, yeah, he was already there, but he got a new deal.
He got a new deal. Okay.
5-year, 136.
That's how much money he got.
5 years.
I didn't even see that. That's crazy.
$136 million deal for Jaden McDaniels.
Listen, have your kids pick up a basketball and teach them how to shoot it.
Stopper, though.
Yeah, and he's a good defender. Yeah, for sure.
Stopper, though.
Man, and that's what they needed. They needed guys who could play D. I still think their best move, we talk about if Anthony Towns has to let Ant-Man be the number one guy. I think that goes without saying. And I'll say this. If he doesn't, you need to be looking to move off of him. I think it's going to be hard because we talk about massive contracts. He has one, but I know a team that's not too far from you that might have an interest in taking in a guy like that. So, I mean, like, but all jokes aside, like, it has to be Ant-Man's team. You got to play through him. Gobert at the 5 is actually good for them because it helps them defensively. And we know that offensively, he's a low maintenance guy and they have enough guys that want to score the ball. You got to figure out a way to have those two play well together because they only got 29 games last year. When they were together, especially at the beginning of the year, it did look clunky. So I think that they have a whole bunch of question marks, but I feel like them, along with the Pelicans, are the two biggest what if teams in the Western Conference, right? Like, obviously, there's some questions with the Grizzlies, but most of those are around Ja coming back. But when you look at the Pelicans and the Timberwolves, those are two teams where it could go either way, right? They could be some of the best teams in the Western Conference, or they could have a bunch of problems if things go wrong. So I think it's going to be really interesting. They're a very intriguing team. I love Ant-Man. I know you love Ant-Man. We're huge supporters here on the pod. But I do think that they have some question marks still as far as that fit with Gobert and Towns. It doesn't quite make sense.
I see. I disagree with you. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me because
they weren't good in the beginning of the year.
Because that's true. When they were playing together, they weren't. That is good. True. But Cat doesn't want to do everything Gobert does. Cat wants nothing to do with.
But do you want him on the floor at the same time? Unless you want to park Cat at the 3-point line and just have him set up jumpers for $40 million a year, then go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think that's what he wants.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to play D. Yeah. He doesn't want to go anywhere near the rim. He's allergic to the rim. Like you and I, we would watch T-Wolves games, and I'd call you and be like, "Did you see what he just did?"
Yeah,
Eder too. Like we would talk about this all the time. Like this guy would much rather do anything than go towards the basket, right? So, like, are you going to park him out by the 3-point line, just have him shoot threes all day and sit and watch? I mean, I guess if that's what you want to do, he's still a major liability defensively. And he does dumb things at the end of games. Like, I don't think we could discount the amount of dumb shit he does at the end of games, particularly when it comes to personal fouls. I've never seen a guy get into foul trouble at more pivotal moments for no reason at all. And they're bad fouls. I'm talking loose ball rebound fouls in the fourth quarter when you already have 4. He's picking up 5 on a loose ball rebound. It happens all the time. So, like, that situation is going to come to a head. You can't win ball games like that. We talk about the guys that have the intangibles that seem to do the right things down the stretch, Remember for a long time, that was like the Marcus Smart thing. It's like you live with a lot of the bad because down the stretch, he finds himself making winning plays. Karl Anthony Towns is the opposite. It's like, yeah, there's some good, but down the stretch, this guy will cost you ball games. That shit matters. Go back and watch some of these Timberwolves losses. He does dumb shit. He picks up terrible fouls. So I think that's something we got to pay attention to. I don't think it's all good. And go watch those games at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
man.
he
does it in big spots too. He does it in the playoffs. Like it's a problem for him.
29 games is the first half of the season. He wasn't there, and the Timberwolves came on and looked really good. They have an opportunity, in my opinion, to be top 10 defensively, top 10 offensively coming into this year. So look out for the Timberwolves. I think they're going to be very interesting. I do want to talk, before we go to the East, let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks. Because I'm not a believer, Nick.
Real quick. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just real quick on Towns.
Yeah.
Perfect example. Last year in the playoff series against Denver, right? Here's personal fouls. 2, 5, 2, 6, 6. Fouled out in game 4, fouled out in game 5.
He's also dealing with a dog.
Whatever. No, listen, man. Okay. I get you. The year before. 3, 5, 5, 3, 5, 4.
No, he does have stupid fouls, but like 3 fouls, I'm not mad at 3 fouls,
mad at
though.
3,
I mean,
but 4 or 5, you're playing on the edge.
Sure. It's tough. A lot of that stuff is situational.
The film is there.
But let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Because, Nick, I'm not a believer.
Me neither.
I really, this is, for how loaded the West is, we could talk about the Pelicans. We haven't even talked about the Suns. We should get there as well for a little quick few. We haven't talked about the Warriors. I mean, we could talk about the West across the board for 2-3 hours.
Yeah, more good teams to talk about than bad.
I do want to talk about this Dallas Mavericks overall situation because I don't think it's a good one. Right now, the win total sits at 43.5. I'm taking the under. I just made a video I'm going to put out here in a little bit later today about this total. Couple things. Luka and Kyrie were 5-11 to close the year last year on the floor together. Now, I know Dallas was closing out the year essentially tanking so they didn't have to give up that draft pick. We know that, right? They don't make the playoffs. Then, coming into this year, they play one preseason game together, Luka and Kyrie, October 5th. Now, another thing, 6 of their first 15 games, only 6 are at home. 9 are on the road to start the year. Another thing, anytime I see Kyrie and Luka on the floor together, or anytime I see or hear Kyrie and the tandem of them brought up to Luka, he doesn't seem very enthusiastic about the entire situation in its entirety. Every time it's brought up, it's like, yeah, we got it. We need time to get together. We need time to mesh. It doesn't seem like he's fired up to go to war on a night-to-night basis in the Western Conference with Kyrie Irving. Who's going to play defense on this team? They add Derek Lively. Okay, he's a rookie. Derek Lively is going to be put in pick and roll over and over again, and his help in the pick and roll. You know who's going to be, you know who he's going to be put in the pick and roll with? Luka, Kyrie, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Seth Curry, aka he's going to be on an island all night long, and he's a rookie on this team. We know the issues with Jason Kidd, not the easiest guy to work with. This Dallas Mavericks team has a chance, and I lean that way more than not, to kind of be a disaster. So I'm going to take under 43.5 wins for the Mavericks. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Josh Green is a better player on that roster that gets no love from Jason Kidd. He's a young kid as well. I'll shout out. I almost said my guy. Shout out my guy Norm Powell. But who's the big on Dallas? Powell. I'm tweaking. Help me out.
Dwight Powell.
Dwight Powell. He's still around. I don't even know if he should be in the league.
We don't know what he does.
He's been there for years, and he's like, they're big. This team has a lot of holes. What do you think about Dallas and overall kind of what I laid out?
Yeah, Dallas is a lottery team to me. That's where I'm at. I think that if you look at their roster, first off, Luka has missed 16 games in 4 or 5 seasons in the NBA. Kyrie Irving hasn't played 67 games since 2018 for a myriad of reasons. And you can't sit here and convince me that those reasons won't pop back up, because there's always something, right? And he can talk a good talk and all that he wants, but we just know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice.
Can't fool me again.
We're like, can't fool me again. Fool me sometime.
Can't fool me again.
Saying Texas. Shout out W.
Shout out W.
But hasn't had a regular season in 7 or 8 years, right? So whatever it might be, something's gonna pop up. And then you look at their depth. I mean, some of the guys that they're gonna be relying on minutes from: Jaden Hardy, Olivier Maxence Prosper, Derek Lively II, Dante Exum. Like, these are guys that if someone gets hurt, they will be playing big minutes for this Dallas Mavericks team. And we're talking about their 2 best players are guys who miss games. So, yeah, I think that in an already loaded Western Conference. So I don't think this team got any better. I think that they got worse, right? I don't know what they did that gives me any confidence. You're relying a lot on Lively and Prosper, who are rookies, right? And it's going to take them some time to get it going. I don't know who your backup point guard is. I don't know who's defending anybody. I don't know where your size comes from to deal with Jokic or to deal with anybody in the Western Conference that gives you any size. And to me, again, you are one injury away from being one of the worst teams in the Western Conference, just like you were after the trade. There's nothing about this team that gives me confidence. I think there's going to be a lot of noise around this team because I don't see anything that makes them start well. They're going to try to – Kyrie wants to play fast. Luka wants to play slow. That's a problem, right? So it's not like your two top players are on the same page offensively and you're going to come out there and assault folks every night, because the 2 ways that they play the best are opposite of each other. And then the pieces around you just don't make any sense. This is a lottery team. 43.5. I don't know where that's coming from. Like, I don't know how you could sit in a room and even come up with that number, because even if things go right to me, this is like a 40-41 win team. Like, if they win 42, I'd be shocked.
30th in defensive rebound percentage last year. They have no bigs that can rebound. They just they're gonna. I think a lot of this, the fixing that needs to be done, is falling at a rookie's feet in Derek Lively out of Duke. So I'm very low on the maps. Also,
he's not a 6'6" power forward.
Yeah. Also, they were 11th in fast break defense.
That doesn't rebound
in transition. So like, it wasn't like people were getting the ball off the rim and pushing it and scoring on them. They were solid in transition. They were getting beat up in the half court.
Yeah.
Just getting crushed in the half court. 25th in defensive rating last year. I am not a fan of the Dallas Mavs this year. So let's see where
and they prefer to play slow. You're getting killed in the half court and you prefer to play slow.
Yes. That's not a bad comment.
That's not a recipe for winning in the NBA.
This to me feels very much like, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think Luka is looking for a reason to be like, hey, man, get me out of here. And
I think Kyrie will look at him at some point in the year and be like, this is your savior? Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's what I mean.
I play with Bron. I play with KD. I play with, like, this is the guy. Come on, let me tell you guys about this guy. This guy, yeah, it's not, you're right. It's off.
So I'm not a big fan of the Dallas Mavericks. That's my spiel. Let's see how it shakes out. Let's talk about the Suns, and then we'll get over to the East Coast. Talk to me. Are you a believer? I am, shout out James Jones. They went from a team to me initially thinking, who the fuck are they going to backfill this roster with? And they backfilled the roster with some actual people that can play minutes in the NBA. How do you feel about the Phoenix Suns, KD now fully there? Booker is Book. He's the man. Yep. Probably the best 2 in the NBA, especially on the offensive side. Beal, can I say underrated playmaker? Am I allowed to say that?
He's underrated.
Underrated playmaker because he just had to shoot his entire existence.
He's had the ball in his hand his entire past 5
years. In Washington. Look, listen to some of this depth here, though. Grayson Allen. We got my man Watanabe, I think, is a player.
Yeah,
I don't care what anybody says. I think he could play. So I'm looking forward to him. Eric Gordon. Like, there's some guys.
The immortal Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon has never died, bro. I'm trying to tell you. I saw Taj Gibson in the league the other day. Shout out Taj. Guys like that don't die. Checks.
Azubuike's another big. So, like, I like this squad, man. I really do. Yeah, shout out Eric Gordon, man. The Hoosier. I remember when he was coming out, he was fucking awesome.
Still gets booed in Chicago for the U of I decision.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you feel about Phoenix and that overall situation? They're obviously going to take some time to mesh. Already talking about people missing games in game one.
Yeah, I hate that.
Overall, though, real contender in the West.
Yeah, I obviously on paper.
It's hard to say not. It's hard to say no, right?
Yeah,
it's like
there's so many guys that, and if it does go well, it could be nice, but I do have questions, right? Talk about top heavy. They are top heavy. I like some of the moves they made to add some depth, but even if you look at like who's going to play point guard, right? Yusuf Nurkic sucks.
No.
Like I want somebody to tell me, like, I get it, like he puts up some points every now and then, he's a tough guy, like all that, but like Nurkic isn't good, right? Like I don't know how many Trailblazers games you had to watch over the last however many years. And
is he supposed to start
back there? Yeah, he's gonna. Who else is starting at center?
Anybody?
Who? Eubanks?
Anybody?
Azubuike? Yeah,
okay. Start him. Yeah.
Anyway,
start Bol.
So yeah, Yusuf Nurkic is your starting center and will probably be playing 34 minutes and 30 minutes a night. And then the point guard thing is real. Bradley Beal is not a point guard, and he's not like you call him an underrated playmaker. He's going to be your primary playmaker. Devin Booker's best role is scoring, right? He got better with Chris Paul because it was like no more of like, hey, trying to turn Devin Booker into James Harden or one of those type guys. He is a scorer. Let me focus on scoring. Let me focus on ripping people's heart out. That's what I'm best at, right? I don't want to worry about getting other guys involved. It's like Kawhi. Like the Clippers have been looking
what I do, man.
The Clippers have been looking for a point guard forever. They said Kawhi said, it's not me. I don't want the ball. I don't want the responsibility. That's not what I do. I want to score and go home. You guys figure out all that setup stuff. Just give me the rock and my spots, and I'm going to do what I do. This is the same thing with Booker. So I think that they're going to have some issues, especially if they find themselves tight late in games with who's going to be kind of who the guy that they're going to run the offense through as far as getting guys where they want to go. Because you got a lot of guys you want to feed, and we haven't seen Brad Beal do that, especially in a meaningful game anytime recently. So I don't want to sound lukewarm on them, but I definitely do have some questions.
I'll say this: we've had front row seats to watching a team without a point guard.
Yeah, it's called the Boston Celtics. Oh,
I was talking about the Bulls, but yes, the Boston Celtics had struggles with that as well. But I was more talking about the Bulls.
Yeah, there was a team.
They were a team that was actually very solid in the East with the point guard and Lonzo Ball. As soon as he goes out of the fold, the team is absolutely shit.
Yeah.
Especially on the offensive side and the defense. I mean, they just fell off a cliff.
Fall off a cliff.
It's not to be understated that they're walking into a season and essentially a multi-year plan with no guy that can literally sole job is to get these pure bucket getters in Durant, Booker, and Beal the rock. So we'll see how that shit works out. There's going to be stretches this year, I'm telling you right now, where you're watching the Suns and you're going to be like, these dudes are so nice. It's unbelievable. And then there's going to be nights where you watch them in stretches, weeks, where you're like, these guys stink.
Yep.
What are we doing here? So buckle up. That ride is going to be fun. If they can get it together rolling into the playoffs, though, come, February, March basketball doesn't really matter. Nobody cares about March basketball because usually stuff's solidified. But it's a really interesting overall situation with Phoenix because we've seen the super team work, and we've seen the super team absolutely flame out and die. So,
and let's not ignore this either, right? 32, 55, 47, 47. Those are the amount of games that Kevin Durant's played in each of the last 4 seasons. And he's 35 years old, right? Like, so while we love Durant and we love a healthy Durant, we haven't had a healthy Durant. He didn't play the year before that. So when we love a healthy Durant, he hasn't been healthy in 5 years. He hasn't been healthy since the Achilles injury consistently. So I think that's obviously a massive part of their success is keeping these guys healthy. And we're already talking about Bradley. I never liked the come into the season injured. I never remember Zach LaVine, was that last year or the year before where he missed game 1?
Yeah, knee.
When you come into the season injured, it means there were some problems that you couldn't fix in the offseason.
Yeah.
And that is always an issue for me because it's lingering into the season. All the treatment, all the time off, all the easier schedule, you were still injured and now it's about to ramp up. That's always an issue for me. And that's the guy that's supposed to be your point guard. So, yeah, there's going to be some issues there, man. I mean, obviously, again, when it looks good, I think you hit it right on the head. It's going to be like that Nets team. There's going to be times where it looked really good, and you're like, man, this team's unstoppable. There's going to be other times where it's like, who the hell on this team is playing defense? Who's in charge here? What the hell's going on? So I think they're not my favorite in the West. I mean, obviously, we've talked about that. But I think there's a lot of questions there. And the Durant injury thing might be at the top of it.
Yeah, there will be no shortage of different situations that you can get some money down on the Suns throughout the year. I would wait to see just overall how that looks.
Yeah.
Him and Booker could also just score 30 plus a night, and it could be very tough to slow those boys. If he plays. It's true. It's true. All right. Anybody else on the West you want to touch on really quick before we go to the East? I want to talk about Missoula and these Celtics, man.
Yeah, I was just going to say one team that I'm intrigued by only because I think that depending on where it goes, if they are sellers, they got some really interesting pieces, but they played well last year is the Utah Jazz.
Shout out the Utah Jazz, man.
Shout out the Utah Jazz.
Look.
Shout out
Yeah, go ahead. Name him.
Listen, man, our boy, we talk about him. Sean and I have our guys. Right? Like guy. We have our guys that when we turn on the TV, they jump out the screen. We watch the games, right? If you watch the games, there's certain guys that jump out and they're doing things.
Shout out my guy.
Walker Kessler.
Walker
Kessler is out there doing things.
Impact.
Every time you watch him, he's impacting winning. He's making plays. Great defensive player. Markkanen was an all-NBA player and an all-star starter last year. You still got my boy, the young bull, Colin Sexton up there, could put up some points. Clarkson running the show. I just think it's an interesting team. Hardy's a good coach. So I think it's a team, if they're competitive, they can give some teams some problems. But if they're not, that's going to be a team where you're going to come calling for some of their guys, right? I think Markkanen has 1 year left on his deal. Sexton just signed a deal. He's got a couple years left. Clarkson is always available for buckets. We know that. We call him Mr. Hot Potato. He goes in there. He's in there for one reason only. That's to put up points, but did run some point for them last year and showed a little bit more of his game. Just an intriguing team to me out West, where there's a whole bunch of other teams that are obviously intriguing. Like if you were to ask me, Utah is a better team than the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah. I mean, I just think that Dallas shit has a big opportunity to blow up. Lauri Markkanen was absolutely sensational last year.
Awesome.
Like he never had, it was like a catch and shoot, catch, no dribble, didn't hold the ball, catch, either went to the rack or pulled up. He was efficient. He was awesome last year. So Jordan Clarkson's still there.
Clarkson was good last year.
The young bull Colin Sexton will give you issues. Hey, Horton Tucker got better. Not my favorite player in the world, but he got better.
Yeah.
And I'm blanking on the young fella's name, the coach.
Will Hardy.
Yeah. Got those boys playing hard as hell.
Very good coach.
Nightly.
They're not letting up. It was like the Thunder last year. It's like they're not letting up when you play against these type of teams. They're trying to win ball games.
To me,
they were supposed to be awful last year.
Bro,
after they traded Mitchell. Yeah.
To me, it was very clear what happened last year. Utah came out and was playing really well and playing hard, and they were winning games. And Danny Ainge picked up the phone and said, "Hey,
sure.
The fuck are y'all trying to do? Make the playoffs out here?"
The other thing is this, though. If they do play well, they have a shit ton of draft picks to make a deal to bring someone in.
But bro, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, this is not the year we're supposed to be making all this noise, Hardy. We're supposed to be low key out here. Yeah. We're not supposed to be ruffling any feathers.
They're interesting. They're very interesting.
Like, Chris Dunn, another dude that's like a low key grinder. Shout out Chris Dunn, old Chicago Bull, and they added John Collins.
Yeah, John Collins. Yeah, that was their addition. Who is finally away from Trae Young. Listen, and let's not understate that. He is finally away from Trae Young. He hated playing with Trae Young.
Yes.
Hated playing there. I know John Collins, not a good defender, not a great rebounder, but he could score. In the last few years, you could tell that he was miserable in that situation.
Yeah,
you're going to bring him in there where Hardy has revived other guys before, Lauri Markkanen, figured out a way to share the ball around there, and he's going to have a good year. I'm telling you, that team could be good if they find themselves in a position where they're like, oh, we're decent. They could make a trade for some of these guys. They could rent a guy for a year. Yeah, it's tough to get a guy to sign a long-term extension in Utah, but they find one of these disgruntled guys who pop up every single year, right? Who pop up every single year, and they might say, we'll throw you a pick for that guy who might be able to help us. So that's something to pay attention to, man. Listen, it's interesting out west.
No question. All right, let's go to the East. I wish we could stay in the West all night. We could talk about the Pelicans, who I really like. Obviously, if Zion can stay healthy.
I'm not.
You're off.
I'm very lukewarm on the Pelicans.
You know what? Because of CJ?
I just think they underachieved. They started off decent last year and then completely fell apart.
Zion got hurt.
Zion always gets hurt. Do we have any? Hey, listen, we just talked about Kyrie. Guys show you who they are. There's nothing about this guy that makes me think he's playing 50 games this year. Nothing. He doesn't care. He does not care.
Yeah, keep an eye out for the Grizzlies too. Absolute shame Steven Adams goes down for the year. They were gearing up to be super solid even with Ja missing 25 games. But anyway, let's go over to the East.
Wait, real quick, give me like just 2 minutes. Sell me on why you like who we just talking about. Why you like
the Pelicans?
The Pelicans, yeah.
Well, it's all dependent on Zion. When he was healthy and he was on the floor, they were really fucking good. The fit out there is a little interesting. Like they kind of just got a bunch of guys jogging around. Like they have a lot of good defensive guys, right? Like they got Alvarado, they got Herb Jones. But like when they put those guys on the floor, they can't score. And then when they got BI and McCollum and my boy Val, who's the most underrated player in the world.
Low usage Valanciunas.
Low usage Valanciunas. They can't stop anybody, right? So it's like they have these weird pieces where I don't know how well it fits.
They need to be sellers, in my opinion. I don't know.
But man, I really like them.
That's a team who you could shed a few of your offense. Like you got too many guys, like too many wing guys who shoot threes, too many kind of like tweener guys. Like I think that they could tighten up that roster a bit. I just think that the problem is you need those guys if Zion doesn't play.
Right.
Like if Zion was healthy, they could easily get rid of like who's my boy? I don't even know if he's still there. Light skinned dude that could not light skinned, but scruffy looking dude that can shoot. They got a lot of those type of guys. But I think just when Zion doesn't play, you end up needing those guys.
Who are you talking about?
Oh my God, what's my guy's name, man?
You're not talking about BI.
No, not
talking about Trey Murphy.
No, other guy.
I got it pulled up here. Larry Nance?
Nah, shout out Larry Nance though.
Devontae Graham.
No, not him. The other guy.
What the fuck? You're not talking about
Najee Marshall.
Okay.
Najee Marshall. Yeah.
But,
guys, but it's just like you have a lot of those type guys, and you could, end up making some moves and kind of get what you need, but you don't really know what you need because your shit is built around Zion and he doesn't play. And Ingram got hurt last year. So it's kind of like, well, what are we? We end up needing these guys. Alvarado, Kira Lewis, these guys all become important.
Yeah, exactly. So they're interesting. I like them. They'll have spurts where they look really good. Let's talk about let's go to the East. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics. Nick, when I sit down with my coffee in the morning and I look out the window and I think about the East, how does this team not win? And then I open my Twitter app and I see things like from Joe Mazzulla like this. Oh, I don't do captains. We got 15 captains.
Oh
God. Okay. Where the Bucks at? Let me. I like the Bucks.
or him doubling down on not calling timeouts on the JJ Redick podcast.
Dude, it's too much. Like every time I want to just fully unload on the Celtics, I think about how they lost their heart in Marcus Smart. Adding Porzingis is awesome. He's a good fit there.
Drew Holiday.
They add Drew Holiday. Like they should be running motherfuckers clean off. And offensively, you saw it in the preseason. They had a preseason game against the Knicks where all the boys were on the floor. Drew, Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, Horford. They were cooking. I mean, just absolutely cooking on offense. And you were like, man, this is going to be a really dangerous squad. But there's still some of those questions about Mazzulla. I don't know. I want to see Mazzulla adjust. Still haven't seen it. Like, no point in the game.
He's a
no point
little
in the
fella.
middle of the season. He's stubborn as fuck.
He's very stubborn, and like you can tell by how he comes off. Like it's very like I'm not changing shit.
Yeah. So he's stubborn. A lot of those things going on, right? Where are you at on Boston? Is it time for Tatum to win the MVP?
Yeah.
You know where we're at with Drew Holiday. That's my guy, J. Rue. Even though Jimmy Butler embarrassed folks in the playoffs, I mean, packed him up. He was supposed to be one of the best defenders in the league, and old man Jimmy Buckets, Himmy,
and also narrated it, told him
yes.
on it while as it was happening. I'm doing
yes,
this
was talking shit, everything.
I'm literally I'm stripping you of your reputation.
With
you say you're a dog, and I'm going to show you what a real dog is.
I'm stripping you of your reputation.
Today. Yeah, reputation's taking a hit today. You're not who you think you are.
Without Jimmy Butler doing that to Drew Holiday, I think a lot of moves don't happen in the offseason. Like that was how
Drew's
big that
still
was.
On Milwaukee.
But talk to me about how you feel about Boston, Mazzulla, Tatum, Brown. Brown got a big biggie bag. Mm-hmm. How you feel about them coming into the year? Are they the team to beat? Is this one of those things where even in the regular season, they roll and then we could have a different conversation once the playoffs start? Because we know the NBA is a regular season and then it has a completely different season. That's the playoffs. Is it one of those situations where Boston just absolutely rolls in the regular season, wins 60, and then we have another pod come playoff time?
Can I ask even a better question? Is it one of those situations where it even matters? Because Boston has had the best team in the Eastern Conference from a roster standpoint, you could argue, since the Kyrie days for the past 6-7 years, right? Going back to some of those Isaiah Thomas teams. They have always been loaded from a roster perspective, in my opinion. So that's no different than this year. So they're going to do their thing in the regular season. They're going to finish one of the top 2 records in the East, but nothing matters until they get to the playoffs with this team. I'll go as far as to say this. Jason Tatum at 8-1 to win the MVP is one of my favorite bets out there. He's healthy, he's durable, and he's going to put up numbers, and that team's going to win a shit ton of games. I have no doubt about that, right? I don't think they're going to struggle in the regular season. I don't think that we're going to be looking at each other in January and be like, man, what's going on with the Boston Celtics? I think they're going to be rolling. It's just going to be the same questions. What happens when we get to the playoffs, right? What happens really when you get to those tight moments in the playoffs? It's not even going to be about series or anything like that. What happens in the fourth quarter, right? What happens when we need Tatum to be that guy? What happens when we need him to put the team on his back and show that he's a top 5 player in the NBA, right? Is Drew going to pick up some of those Marcus Smart things that we didn't like, where the ball always found him in critical moments, right? Is Drew going to know that thing has to go to Tatum? And is Tatum going to be able to get it done? Some of the Jaylen Brown shit, we saw him fall in big moments down the stretch.
Right?
He
played so bad. He played so bad against Miami.
Tatum, give me the ball. You can't dribble. You cannot dribble with your left hand. So go sit in the corner or slash or whatever it is, and I'll get it to you when you need it. So I think a lot of it comes down to Tatum, but I have no questions about them in the regular season, to the point where if they win something like 62, 63, 64 games, I'm not going to be surprised by it, because that's how stacked their roster is, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes down to when they're facing the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoff series, are they going to falter, right? Are they going to get smacked around by a team like the Knicks? Are they going to get smacked around by a team like the Heat that just want it more? Like, That shit is a real question for them. So it's not a regular season question at all for them. It's an Eastern Conference Finals and NBA Finals question. And if we're asking questions before then it's a major issue.
Well said. I agree 100%. That was very well laid out. We can move off the Boston Celtics, leave them there. Let's talk about the big move. Dame Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks. Watched a bit of the preseason. I'm not a big preseason dude, but I do want to see just how, possession. I'm looking at possessions. Like how are they approaching possessions with both guys on the floor? Kind of looked like Giannis was up to his same old shit, like Dame wasn't around from time to time. But we'll see how that shakes. He signs the new deal, 3-year, 186. Windhorse said he was shocked that he signed it. What that means to me is that, so now he's under contract for 4 years. What that means to me is that Giannis is going to give this Dame experiment a full 2 seasons. So no matter what happens this year, he's going to give it a whole nother season after that. Then 2 years into a 4-year, then he might look at folks like, yeah, go ahead. It's time to go ahead and we could skip this experiment or whatever.
He won't have any problems trading him if he wants to get traded. So
correct.
Yeah, I don't think this is the 4-year commitment that some people might be making it out to be. But
sure.
I do think it's a commitment.
Sure, for sure.
It ends the questions all season of what are you going to resign? Are you going to resign? Are you going to resign? Yeah. It kills a lot of noise, which I thought.
He had already mentioned that, hey, I'm going to resign next year. But it's like, well, why?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the squad overall? They're pretty fucking old, Nick. We talked
Very
about
old.
this. It's a pretty old roster. Brook Lopez.
Robin Lopez, they're both there.
They're both there now.
They're both there.
But I was talking about Brook.
Shout out. Just want to make sure we know. Just want to make sure that we know the Thanasis is there. All right.
You think he's looking for? A new deal then?
No, it's already there. It's guaranteed. Giannis re-signed. Yeah, of course. Thanasis is right behind him. Hey guys.
Hey, like
Giannis like now you take care of Thanasis.
Thanasis's deal might be into that deal.
Yeah,
it might be like a C.9.
Yeah.
Thanasis.
Hey, if I'm here, Thanasis is here too.
Yes, that is. Hey, he's part of the deal.
Thanasis is a multimillionaire because Giannis negotiated.
Oh man, come on, man! That family is locked in. Shout out Giannis.
Remember when the brother was on the Lakers? Like that was the best part. But the brother was clearly on the Lakers in case Giannis had thoughts of otherwise after the bubble.
Yeah,
the brother got a ring on the Lakers.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Brother got a ring on the Lakers.
I forgot about that. He's not in the league anymore. No,
Costas. I think
he's not on Milwaukee too.
Nah, he's. I don't think he's. No, he's not there. If Giannis gets upset, he might be though. Giannis, don't worry, we brought in Costas.
At some point they got to holler at Giannis like, man, why don't we just make the Thanasis a little assistant coach or something?
Man.
Why don't we free up this? Why don't we go ahead and free up this roster spot?
He plays. Fine. Listen, it's worth it. You do that shit 100 times out of 100.
Yeah,
Look,
no doubt.
I obviously like the Bucks. I think that the biggest question is their age and some of their depth. But I think overall, this team is awesome. I think we talked about it for years. Yeah, you need to put this type of player around Giannis that takes this amount of pressure off of Giannis, right? He has never played with anybody that he's going to operate in the pick and roll with like this. He has never played with anybody who can shoot like this. He's never played with anybody as lethal as Dame Lillard. Like, say what you want to about Middleton, even during his best years, he was never even close to this. I guess that goes without saying. Holiday, we have both loved Holiday. He was a dog, but offensively, he can't even fucking hang Damian Lillard's coat. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a different situation. If the health is there, and if these guys get healthy in the playoffs, because again, I talked about before, it's not like we're like, hey, we have questions about Dame in the playoffs. It's not like they brought in Harden where it's like, yeah, this is going to work, but when it gets to the playoffs, it's shaky. Dame has absolutely been a primetime performer in the playoffs, right? With worse guys than Giannis. So I think these are the two. This is the guy he was looking for. Like, this is the guy he was looking for. I think he is the perfect player to play with Giannis, especially because he will take the ball out of his hands. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I think they just got to figure out the balance. They just got to play together for a little bit and figure out.
Yeah, I don't care what it looked like in the
preseason
either, because it's not like they had the whole summer to figure this out. He just got there a few weeks ago, and it was a very rushed camp, and then you throw him out there for some preseason games. And it's kind of like, oh, we're still trying to figure it out as they progress through. I think the biggest question also for them is the Adrian Griffin situation. How is he handled it as a coach? Again, we had a lot of criticism about Bud, but we know that Bud was running a tight system there. Yeah. There's already been the dust up with Griffin. Terry Stotts walked off the job this week. Like that's not normal to have your top assistant quit 4 days before the season starts. So there's obviously something there. But if that goes well, I think we're good to go.
You're not gonna talk about the elephant in the room. You don't think Dame told folks that? Hey,
I don't know. I know they said it was an issue between Griffin and Stotts. Like they got into it, and Stotts was like, "Yeah, I'm out." But who knows? Yeah. Maybe Dame was like, "Yeah, I can't be around Buddy anymore." He reminds me.
Yeah, I think it reminds me of a bad time.
Yeah, I don't want anything Portland related over here.
Yeah, man, this is new. This is Milwaukee. Yeah, I even left my wife in Portland.
I left everybody. I don't want no Washington coffee, Oregon coffee. You understand what I'm trying to tell
you? We left everything back in Portland, man. This is new. It's a new day, bro.
I'm disloyal Dame now. Don't bring these past.
We doing new things out here in Milwaukee.
Dame Lillard. What a crazy situation.
Yeah, man. What a exciting.
When a man breaks, he breaks.
No question. And if I were you, I don't live in Chicago at the moment. I would be getting up to Milwaukee a few times.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna try to get to Milwaukee.
You should make that a priority.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. It's not gonna be difficult.
No doubt about it. Let's talk about the Bulls.
Who?
I know we don't talk about the Bulls much, man, because it's such a disappointing situation overall.
It's so blah.
It's so blah. It's beyond blah.
There's nothing to talk about. It's like, they might suck.
It's like they'll be. It's like same old shit. Right?
Mediocrity. Yeah.
Then fuck it. Then let's talk about somebody else.
No. I think we have to talk about the Bulls. There's still no catch up Chicago. We got to give the people what they want. We got to talk about the home. Let's not do that. They fuck around, be like 13-2, and then the people go back. I don't even want to talk about the Bulls. So let's talk about the Bulls, man. Patrick Williams out here demanding $200 million plus deals.
Well,
where are you on that?
We can start there.
Let's start there. That's the news about the Bulls I want to talk about. Pat Williams demanding big money. It was reported that he demanding big money. Then he came out the other day and said, "Yeah, that's what I'm worth." Guys start talking about that's what I'm worth. That's the money I deserve.
Zach Lowe had a report that Pat Williams was looking for a new deal that started with a 2, and he wasn't talking about $20 million. You understand what I'm saying? There are reports that Patrick Williams is looking for $200+ million on his new deal. I was beyond baffled by this. On what earth would he be worth giving $200 million to? This type of stuff really rubs me the wrong way because it just shows me you're not seeing shit like you're supposed to be seeing it. He thinks he's making does he think he's making a massive impact? That's what I don't understand. Does he really look back on his shit and think he's making a massive impact to the point where he's a max dude? I don't understand that. Sure, he said in the presser, I'm working hard. I believe that my effort deserves a big deal. My brother, you don't produce on the court. You don't impact the game on the court. Period. We talk about rebounding and playing defense being all want, all effort, all the time. We have seen it for years. Players for years in Chicago Bulls uniforms with not a lot of talent make huge impacts in millions of dollars off heart and hustle and grind. Taj, Joakim Noah.
Because of it, yeah.
Joakim Noah. This dude does not play hard like that. He does not impact the defensive side of the floor like that. He does not clean up the glass, and he fucking can barely shoot it. So the fact that
he shot 41% from 3 last year.
The fact that he thinks he's worth, I said barely shoot it, as in He's all.
No, I'm not bullshitting. Yeah, you're right.
No. But what I'm getting at is he did shoot 41%. I would say 100% of those he's wide open. I don't think I've ever seen anyone contest a Pat Williams jump shot. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, you can have it.
So go ahead and let him shoot that. So what I'm getting at is I don't understand the thought process. Listen, I get it, Nick. Who's the best player of all time? Who's the best player on the field right now? It's me. I'm the guy. Like, on some, you have to say that because you're not going to – who's the better quarterback on the field? You're playing Tom Brady. I believe I am. Like, we know – I understand you got to –
We've heard it all a million times.
I get that part, all right? Especially, like, on an interview going into the game. You cannot be reporting that you want $200 million and haven't done anything to impact winning on the team. Kobe White impacts the game more than Pat Williams on the team.
Ooh.
What are we talking about? This is when I heard him say that, I was shocked. So that's where I'm at on Pat Williams and that comment. $200 million. Are you fucking nuts?
So is there an excitement for the upcoming Bulls season for you? Do you see anything good coming out of it with the point guard situation? Like where are we at? Or do you think that this is a blow it up situation? We try to get what we can for.
I think. Well, I mean,
very tradable extension for Vooch. Let's talk. You can hate the Vooch extension all you want. Very tradable.
Yes, very cheap.
Cheap.
It's starting to look very cheap.
Tradable Kobe White deal, right? Tradable IO deal.
Yeah.
Zach's deal. Each year that passes by, it's tradable. And DeMar with no extension, right? So where are we? And Alex Caruso, very tradable as well.
And he's one of our better players. So
and teams will want Caruso.
Yes.
We're going to get a 1 for Caruso.
Now, I'll talk about this. And Caruso is definitely worth a 1.
Yeah.
Especially in the right fit.
Yeah.
You put him on a couple different teams and you give up a 1 all night.
All night.
Let's talk about this. Is the only thing this is my initial worry for the Bulls. Kobe White has played really well.
Yeah, especially at the end of the season.
If you go back to the midpoint last year to where like he was in the grinder.
Yeah.
Like it was clear he was not going to be a part of the team. He played himself into a new deal with the Bulls. Like that's not I got to give Kobe credit on that end. I don't want to fall into the narrative though that he's a pure point guard playmaker. That's still not what he does and what he wants to do. All right. He wants to come off the bench, run things a little bit, but he wants to affect the offensive side of the floor and score.
Without a doubt.
So we still don't have a point guard in the Bulls. Pat Bev, when he came over, they played a lot better with him and him bringing that attitude.
I don't understand why you didn't bring him back.
Yeah, I don't really get that either.
I thought he played really well for the Bulls.
He did. He made an impact for the Bulls. There's no question.
Yeah, right away. Like, absolutely impacted winning right when he got here.
Impacted winning.
It was like a shot in the arm. The team was dead terrible to watch. Watching Pat Bev Bulls teams, it was actually fun those last few weeks of the season.
Yeah. He was like an espresso when you're tired. He came in and did revive them. Shout out Pat Bev. But he's not there anymore. Caruso was banged up a little bit last year as well, in and out. I'm just worried about, and we've been saying this for years. Zach LaVine and DeRozan, I don't think get along that well.
No.
Zach LaVine wants to be the guy, and it's clear in the fourth quarter DeMar's the guy because he's a better clutch closeout scorer than Zach LaVine. That's an issue fundamentally for them. Vooch is whatever. It's a really middling blah team that still doesn't have a point guard that can run the floor. And when you get into the bench and the rotation, what are we really talking about?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at on the Bulls. Where are you at?
Yeah, I agree with you, everything that you said. I think you look at their point guards like separately, and it's like there's certain things like there's plenty I like about Io, but he's not a starting point guard in the NBA, and he's not going to be this year. There's things I like about Kobe White, especially. I try to give Kobe some of the benefit of the doubt because since he's came in the league, they have tried to put him in so many different roles, and he's never had like a consistent thing. It's like, oh, be a microwave scorer. Oh, be a defender off the bench. Oh, try to run the offense for us. Like, do this, do that. And I think that last year he kind of settled into his groove. And Javon Carter, we've talked about, like, good player, but he's not leading the show for you, right? Good shooter, solid defender, whatever. This team is just blah. It's a lot of blah. I think the saving grace is like I just laid out. There's a lot of tradable pieces, but the question is, will this organization make those moves? They have shown an unwillingness in the past to bottom out. right? So we can't see. I don't see a situation where the Bears stumble and the management's like, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and start tanking, right? We're going to trade guys. We're going to try to get picks. We're going to try to get assets because the organization is fine with being mediocre. They just don't want to be bad. So for me, it makes the whole thing interesting because I don't see any way that they're competitive this year. They might be all right. They're not going to be the worst team in the NBA, but I don't see how they're going to be competitive, man. It's just very blah. Nothing exciting about this roster. And we don't have any young guys that you're looking forward to. Dallin Terry can't play. I've seen enough. I don't care if it was 1 year in some preseason games. I've seen enough. He can't play.
I literally messaged my guy that went to Arizona. Shout out my boy Max, man. He's an agent for Tandem. I said, how the fuck did Dallin Terry even get a scholarship to Arizona?
Yeah.
This guy is brutal, bro.
He can't play.
He can't play. Also, we lost our heart and soul. Shout out Javonte Green, man.
Oh, yeah. How'd you let him out the building?
Long live Javonte, man. I don't even think Javonte's in the league anymore.
Javonte played like 8 positions.
He might. Is Javonte somewhere?
He should be.
Shout out Javonte Green, man. Do
you know that Javonte Green is listed, if you go on Wikipedia, he's an American Montenegrin professional basketball player?
Yeah, he's getting them international checks.
Is that his international check? Shout out Javonte.
Shout out Javonte Green, man. Is he in the league?
He is. No, he's out the league, which is crazy.
Javonte, man.
This lets me know that folks weren't watching the film. He was signed by the Warriors last week.
Maybe
he
was hurt last year.
And they just waived him. He was signed by the Warriors last week and they waived him.
Yeah, he played 40. He started 45 games a couple of years ago for the Bulls, but he was hurt last year. Maybe he's still hurt dealing with that, man. But I love Javonte Green's energy, the way he played, hard-nosed, man. Yo, if Pat Williams played with 50% of Javonte Green's hustle and heart, he would be a killer.
He get his $200 million.
He maybe would have a shot at getting his $200 million.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I saw, speaking of like the league and how competitive this shit is, someone posted like Drew Timme highlights.
Drew Timme.
And they were like, this dude got waived.
Yeah.
And Drew Timme was like cooking people. You know what I'm saying?
It was cold in college.
Like,
yeah, the league is different.
Like the league is different, man. It's a different caliber.
Drew Timme was a monster in college.
Yeah, Drew Timme was a beast.
Just like who's my boy out at Purdue? Did he leave yet? Or was it Iowa? Edie. The big, huge white
Edie,
dude.
Purdue. He's back. He went back.
He was
thinking about
back.
coming out. He's like, I'm going back.
No, I'm not gonna. But he can put up 30 a game in college. But yeah, he's not.
Shout out Luke Garza though.
Garza's on Detroit, right?
Luke Garza. No, I think he's on Memphis.
Is he?
Am I tweaking on that? Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it's Memphis. Yeah, Luke Garza's on Minnesota, not Memphis.
Luke Garza, is that his name?
He's in the league though. He's still making a little bit of noise.
Yeah, hey, listen, man. Yeah, stay around.
But like, he's one of those like, college big boys that you didn't think would be anything in the NBA. He's still on the roster. So shout out Luke Garza. But let's stay in the East. That's how we feel about the Bulls. That's where we're at about just the overall. It's just a blah overall situation. We'll see if they end up blowing it up, if that's even a thing, or do they get direction from upstairs? And it's like, yo, let's try to make the playoffs and get those extra checks for those games. We'll talk about the Miami Heat. We'll talk about the New York Knicks. We'll talk about Philly. Let's talk about Philly.
Yeah, disaster.
You think?
Yeah, it's a mess.
I'll tell you this, but before I let you go, I want to get your reaction on this. I think there's an opportunity for them to say, fuck James Harden, and Maxey comes in and just goes berserk, and they're just as good, especially in the regular season, as they were last year, and they could win 49, 50 games with James Harden or without.
Well, let's talk about their biggest addition in the offseason, Nick Nurse. Yeah. This is a Nick Nurse fan club. Sean was the original Nick Nurse guy. He called it early in the Toronto when he his first year in Toronto. You were watching something Nurse was doing, and you were
30
like,
games, and I was like,
doing things.
Yeah,
he's out here like doing things that are actually making a difference. Yeah. So I think that's huge, right? Obviously, Doc has had success as a coach, but Doc has also had a lot of high-profile blunders. Nurse is a great coach. They got a lot out of those Toronto teams. So I think there's absolutely a world in which Maxey, who has done nothing but get better every single year he's been in the league, takes another leap, right?
Yeah.
For me with Harden, look, man, like I've been a James Harden supporter over the years. I'm out. I'm done with it. I'm out. I'm just completely out. I don't like it. I don't like the quit. It's one thing to it's one thing to have an issue on one team and kind of cry your way out. You cried your way out of like 3 different teams. The way you go about doing it is kind of disgusting. Not showing up to training camp is disgusting. Not coming to practice is disgusting. Staying in Houston is disgusting. It doesn't make any sense. We understand you're disgruntled, and I get it. Morey promised you an extension and didn't give you one. You have every right to be upset. Yeah. But it's just like, look, dude.
But you don't get it. It's not really. Apparently, you don't get it.
But apparently, I don't. Yeah. But at what point it's like the juice isn't worth the squeeze with Harden, right? He's another year older. He's no longer the scorer that he thinks he is, apparently, in his head. Houston wanted no part of him. Remember, he was supposed to go back to Houston in the offseason. Udoka was like, no, I'd rather have Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet. And you continually don't show up in the playoffs. You had a couple of good games last year in the playoffs, but overall you keep not showing up, but you're carrying yourself like you're an impact player. And the shit is it's just old. I'm tired of it. So I don't really care what they do with him. I think they got to assume that he's just not going to show up and it's going to be hard to trade him because they don't need to. Because if I'm the Clippers, I'm also not putting Man in the deal or whatever it is that you want because the guy who doesn't want to be there. And if I'm the Clippers, I'm already like, look, I already have enough guys that it's hard enough to get them to show up and play and are somewhat disgruntled and kind of weird. I don't really need to bring in another James Harden into this situation, right? If I'm the Clippers, the last thing I want to do if I have Paul MVP season George and Kawhi, I don't know what's going on if he's going to play or not, Leonard, is to bring in James Harden, right? Like, I don't really need any more weird in my organization. Yeah, man, I'm not pressed to make that deal if I'm them either. So
for James, he is a guy that still needs the rock at all times in his eyes, but the skills have diminished and the impact has diminished quite a bit.
Yeah.
And he wants to dominate the rock even when there's better players on the floor that should get the touches before him. He wants to dominate the rock, and his skill level does not match that. He wants to be the number 1 usage guy on the team, and that cannot be the case in Philly or on the Clippers, or, to be honest, I'm not sure, maybe Orlando.
But also, do you also want to bring this guy into Los Angeles, California? This is a man who we know. Like, say if you want. Listen, man, like, it's a known thing.
So you think that's a real thing?
Hell yeah. Yes, Doc was like, yeah, let him go to Vegas in the middle of the playoff series during the playoffs. I understood this is what he needs to do, but it's like this is another year older, man. You're in your mid-30s, man. I think it's a little bit tougher. You're not trying to play 82 games and win a championship. Yeah, I think you've got enough issues already over, but just the way he carries himself and how he goes about doing this, like 1 year in a spot, and then I'm out. I'm done. It goes from being the one place I want to be. I had to get to the Nets. I had to get out of Houston. Houston did everything for me, right? Did everything for me. They did something I didn't like. I had to get out of there. I was showing up 300 pounds. Brooklyn, I got around my guys. I got everything I want. I don't want to be here anymore. Philly, yeah, man, I get to play with Embiid, a great player for me to play with. I can play in the pick and roll. I can pass him, do all this stuff. And I don't want to be here. Now it's like, hey, send me to LA or I'm just not going to show up. So if I'm Philly, I'm like, yeah, move on from this because pretty soon you might run into an Embiid problem, right? There's already reports that they're saying the Knicks would make a run at Embiid. They'd give 2 first-round picks. They'd give Randall. They'd give R.J. Barrett and a couple other guys to make a run at Embiid. Yeah, so the Embiid – is he still in New York?
Fournier,
you see Fournier on the streets?
Shut up, man. Fournier got a burner, but I think Fournier been getting disrespected. He deserves some minutes. He doesn't get any minutes from Tibbs, but I'm under contract, so I got to be careful.
Anyways, so yeah, I mean, like whatever package they want to put together for that, like I think you got some Embiid noise, so you got to move on. I do think that they should have resolved this Harden situation this summer if they could, because carrying him throughout the season is bad, and you already know what that looks like with the Simmons thing. And I do think this team seems to always have that type of noise around them. And if I'm Embiid, I might say just get me the fuck out of here because it's just always noisy. Like I love Philly, I love the fans and everything, but like as an organization, it's just been a mess since I got here day one. But yeah, man, I'm not. They're another team where it's like it can go either way. I don't.
Okay, Okay, so then remove say because James flat out said he's not playing for folks. So okay,
yeah,
remove James.
Yeah,
they can compete in the East with Maxey is that dude, man. I fucking love Maxey's game and his attitude, and he does everything with a smile on his face, and he can flat out play ball.
What about your boy?
Who? You already know I'm not fucking with folks.
Your boy who has more career points than Kawhi Leonard. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that. It's fucking it's irrelevant. Yeah, Tobias Harris is he's the 4th guy on the team. Like, simple as that. Like, let's keep it 100. He's the fourth guy. If he's your fourth guy, then yeah, you probably got a really, really, really good basketball team. But can Maxey and Embiid carry that squad?
I think so. If Maxey continues the leap that he's taken since he's been in the league, I think so.
Yeah, man. I think
carry him to where though?
Yeah, that's the question.
Guess we also got to ask, like, where is their realistic landing spot? Like, are you winning a title there? Because you're not better than Boston and Milwaukee are at a different stratosphere in the East, right? So are they the best of the rest for you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I think the Knicks are better than them, honestly. We can have a whole 3-hour pod on the Miami Heat.
That's direct deposit talking.
I think the Knicks are going to be good this year. They were good last year.
Yeah.
Yo, let's not forget that they beat up the Cleveland Cavaliers in the playoffs.
They did.
Absolutely beat them to death. So the Knicks are going to be good. Jalen Brunson
that's a very interesting team too, the Cavaliers.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
Mitchell doesn't want to be there.
Bro, win total's at 50.5.
Yeah,
it's like right high. At the borderline. That's pretty high. But they got some dogs over there. You don't think Mitchell wants to be there?
No, I don't think he wants to be there. He never wanted to be there in the first place. I would.
Yeah.
He wants to be with you. He wants to be on
the Knicks. Yeah,
he wants to be on the Knicks. Yeah, he wants to be on the Knicks. So I think if that thing doesn't go right, he's another guy. Yeah, see that? Someone they heard us talking about Mitchell. They're out here. Just sounding the horn. Bing bong. Yeah. I mean, I think that's just an interesting team in general.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on there. Yeah, I guess I could see a world in which the Knicks get better this offseason. Let's talk about the Knicks. What did they do this offseason? You're obviously inside. What's the reason to believe the Knicks are better this year?
Yeah, I mean, this is a second year for Jalen Brunson. You gotta hope. This is one of those things where, like, remember for years, people till we eventually were like, "Yo, I'm not fucking falling down the trap." Where wait till Giannis develops a jump shot. It's like the motherfucking jump shot's not coming.
RJ,
so like, I kind of want to say RJ is going to make a leap, but like I don't believe that.
I don't see it.
I think he kind of is what he is, right? So
Brunson, but scorer that can give you some good games.
I really think Jalen Brunson can score 26, 27 points a night. He is that legitimate. IQ maybe makes the step. Quentin Grimes is also really fucking good. Quentin Grimes will be a big piece. They added DiVincenzo. He'll be another role player. They added some pieces. Mitchell Robinson's still there. The only people they really lost were like Obi Toppin, Derrick Rose.
Where did Obi Toppin go?
To Indiana. So the Pacers.
He had to go. Him and Tibbs weren't gelling.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing though.
Yeah, he wasn't. When he did play, he
very hit or miss.
Actually contributed quite a bit when he did play. He was good on his corner threes. He ran the floor well. He's going to get a lot of lobs from our boy Halliburton. He's going to be dunking everything out there in Indianapolis. So that's the move over there. But obviously the linchpin, bro, for the New York Knicks is Julius Randle.
Yep.
If Julius Randle consistently which Julius Randle do you get? And it's going to be interesting, man, because I think the fan base,
they've been teetering on the. He is so hot. He's got to be so hot and cold out there. It's crazy,
they are waiting for a reason to boot. Like they think he's wishy-washy because sometimes he is. So
yeah. Well,
if he comes out and is consistent,
press conferences, not showing up to press conferences and whatnot.
The Knicks are a top 4 NBA team if Julius Randle is locked in. Or East NBA in the East. If he comes out and is locked in.
I'm about to say, all right, buddy. All right, buddy. Give this man a raise.
Shout out Julius. Shout out Tibbs.
Man. Yeah, I think they're an interesting team. Yeah, I like that.
And Josh Hart is now going to be there for a full year. I think Josh Hart is like my dark horse.
I like Josh
for sixth man of the year.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He really impacts when he's on the floor. He's a good player, man. So, yeah, they could be top 4 in the East. I don't see why not. The Cavs are going to be good.
Shout out Cody.
The NBA overall is just there's a lot of good teams.
Shout out our guy Cody asked if we think that Strus is going to be good in Cleveland. Yes.
Shout out Max Strus.
I think Strus is going to be solid.
It's a good addition for them.
He's bringing the 3-point shooting that they need. They need to stretch the floor. I still think that in a 7-game series, they have an Allen Mobley issue. So I think they need to figure that out. But yeah, I think Strus is a good addition there, man, for sure. You're just going to sit up there and shoot threes.
Yeah. All right, we're going to leave it there, man. We were going to try to talk about the NFL, but we're at an hour and a half, and folks got to do some work today. So we got to ride out. Arsenal's on the Champions League in 20 minutes as well at the Arsenal. Oh. So when y'all play Tuesday or Wednesday?
We play Monday and Friday this week.
For those who got the joke, you got it. For those who didn't, pay closer attention. For Big Nick the Quick, I am your host, Sean Little. No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. Make sure you subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Man, this is the NBA talk we're gonna have all year. We're very excited that it's back. Let's see what shakes out for night one. Lakers, Nuggets, Warriors, Suns. Who plays?
Real quick, who do you like in each game? Let's get the people that.
I gave out Lakers. I gave out Lakers first half plus 2.5.
Okay.
I think the Lakers.
Or is that
that's a play. I gave it out. Okay. I think the Lakers win, and then I think the Warriors win. Maybe not though. I don't know who's gonna play, man. We're already up to this shit. This is why the NBA is so difficult because it's literally 2:40 Eastern. The game is in 5 hours. And I don't know who's gonna play.
Yeah, the NBA is tough.
It is tough.
It's the first few weeks of the NBA season. The over/under shit.
Yeah, it's craziness. Yeah. So stay tuned on that. No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. Who do you got?
I like the Nuggets.
Yeah, banner night.
I like the Nuggets and I like the Warriors.
I think
the Warriors are. Hey, look, if the Warriors played 82 games at home, they'd be best team in the NBA. The problem is they're going on the road.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I mean, hopefully some of those issues are sorted out with that team. Obviously, it was ugly there. I think the Poole Green situation was clearly way uglier than we could have imagined and impacted them. So I mean, they might be able to clear some things up. But yeah, we'll see.
No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. Share the pod, subscribe, drop a review, man. Big love to y'all. We'll see you next week.